I think one of Debbie's greatest legacies will be the fact that her name and the club are so synonymous. I sent a message out to my board members to say, you know, what would you like me to share today? And one of the responses was in caps. Debbie and the club are completely inseparable. In fact, it's almost Debbie Cooper, the St. John Boys and Girls Club, all in caps as one word. And so I think that is, she embodies who the club is, what it means to be a Boys and Girls Club. And she's thrown everything into it. It's been her heart, her soul, her children.
Her greatest legacy is to what she's left a piece of her with each of the kids that's gone through the club. I think that's what she wants to have us remember, the community of St. John and the kids that went through the club, that she's touched, to remember her as somebody who's reached out to them, who's touched them, and that's what her legacy, I believe, is what she would want to be.
Honestly, I think she leaves behind two legacies. I think one of them is the children whose lives she has touched. I think those children who have been through the club, and she is inspired to get an education. She is inspired to pursue their dreams. I think those children are her legacy. And I think the club itself is her legacy. I think the building and the programs and where it is today, I think all that is there because of what she has helped build over the last 25 years.
Well, I think Debbie's reaction to being selected as a community torchbearer for the Vancouver Olympics was one of surprise, one of a feeling of honor to be selected. And not only was she feeling that she was given that honor to represent, you know, Canada, you know, as representing Canada carrying the torch, but more so representing the youth of St. John that she cares so much about. I think she took it as a great honor to do that.
The 2010 to 13 capital campaign was so important for both the club and Debbie. The board and staff of the club recognized through Debbie's leadership that a change needed to be made to the club to ensure its relevance to the city and the youth and children of the club. Programming changes were needed, and in order to make programming changes, we needed to improve our buildings and equipment, and that was going to take money. The success of the campaign brought in the dollars that we needed to improve our building and our equipment, and this is going to ensure the long-term future relevance and success of the club.
Youth SJ, conversations about it really began probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I remember a first conversation Debbie and I had about the idea of having a youth coalition. You know, we really had to get all the youth organizations thinking together and working together, and she was familiar with other Boys and Girls Clubs and other communities who were part of these coalitions. So it was an idea that we kind of kicked around for a while and discussed, and then the 4 big organizations got together and really created Youth St. John. And so from small conversations that Debbie really initiated, getting best practices from elsewhere, we now have Youth St. John.
The Heart of the Possible programs has changed the club by us being able to bring in innovative programming and to bring the skills that we know the children have out. And we have wonderful volunteers that run those programs, and without those volunteers, we wouldn't be able to have the programs that we have.
Our 2008 Keystone Awards Gala was really a triggering point for how we as a club were going to approach our fundraising. This was not only for us to raise a lot of money in one single event, it also let us put out our new brand image that was being promoted through national and that we wanted to promote locally, and we were really excited to get that out there. So it was a turning point for our club to get out in the community, be visible, and we did that.
Her best day-to-day work is she always had an open door policy for all of her staff and all of the youth. She was the executive director, but she didn't spend every minute of her time in her office. She was always aware of the youth, of what they were doing, and the different trends that the youth are into now. So she always made her presence known throughout the club.
My wishes for Debbie as she continues her voyage with the National Boys and Girls Club is that She continues to have enjoyment and purpose with her work, and that it continues to inspire her to be as great as we know that she can be.
My wishes for Debbie as she continues her work with the national organization are twofold. One is I wish that the clubs who get to work with her are exposed to her wealth of knowledge about children and youth, and that will better all of our clubs in the Maritimes. My personal wish for Debbie is that she continues doing what she loves for as long as she loves doing that, and that the passion that she has for our club now, she continues to have in her new role.
So Debbie would really like her service to be remembered, I think in a really humble way, in a quiet way, and that's, I think, a lot of how she's always been. She's there for the kids, not for herself, and so I think it's tricky to figure out how to honor her and remember her, and it's really about the kids. So I could see a collage of all the children who've walked through the doors over the last 25 years as being a really nice way to honor her.
My wish for Debbie as she continues her journey with Boys and Girls Club, I wish her all the best. And she will be missed at the club, but she has a lot of knowledge that she can bring to other clubs.
Well, I think Debbie would want her service at the club to be remembered in such a way that people recall that Debbie gave her heart and soul to the club, her heart and soul to the kids that came through the doors of the club. I think that's what she would want to have people remember, and that's what she would want to leave behind her at the club.